Sam, welcome to my channel, to BetaTalks. It's good to have you here.
Thanks for having me. I'm honored to be here.
Great. And you're actually my, let me see, third ESTP on this channel, but you are the first one who is InfoDom. So I'm looking forward to hearing your perspective on this type. So will you tell us your full type, please?
Okay, audio, SE, FE, play, consume, blast, sleep, basically.
Yeah.
ESTP.
Sorry, yeah, ESTP. And basically, P, we have like 32 variations of each type. So an ESTP can be like, yeah, very different one from the other. So in your case, you are DE, you are tribe over self, maybe not the typical one then.
Yeah, tribe above self, basically, yeah.
Yeah, so before you got typed, did you think that you were a DE, like tribe above self person, or how did you see yourself? Did you have any guesses, any self types before you got typed?
We try and be congruent with what I say. Basically, I consumed my way to coming. I didn't get my type right, but I came up with the conclusion of the animals were right, but it was FE, SE. So they were in reverse, basically. But I think I saw myself as a DI, but at the same time, I didn't understand the terms of OP 100%. Because from now, I'm like, okay, now I can see it. But then when I watched the videos, I began to see my typing videos, which I did like 3-hour lengths of 3 of them. So I gave a lot of info. I was like, oh, you seem to be talking about people. So then I just kind of looked out to look in to see it, because there's one thing that stuck with me was like when Dave said, if you start feeling like really negative about the conclusion that you come up to, then that's most likely the right clue. And at the time I was like obsessed with NI. So I was like, you can't be that, which what you love. And then when I started thinking about like EJ, I was kind of like disgusted in a way. So yeah, that kind of, you think, okay, you must be to that. But I think I thought I was more self above tribe, but not the case.
So basically the EJ for you was the tribe above self, like the personification of that. That's how I interpret what you're saying. Like that was why you didn't want to be an EJ. The tribe thing.
Yeah, I know there's nothing wrong with EJ, but it's just I'd always seen the negative anecdotes of EJ, not the positive sides of it. So therefore, when you see the negative side being, like they're always deferring their decisions to other people, or they're feeling insecure, or they desperately want validation, it's like, even if you don't know your type, who wants to? I'm doing it now, but I didn't want to be like that. Yeah, basically. There you go.
That's interesting. Yeah, I totally get that. Like I had a similar journey myself. I thought I was a cool EP, which I'm not.
That's funny.
I'm a controlling IJ.
Yeah, you want to go opposites, I guess.
Yeah. So yeah, it's kind of interesting how that goes. Yeah, so play first. That's your first animal, like the combination of your SE and your FE. So you should be very aware of like the world around you and the value people put to, things around. Do you think you are a person that scanning all the time, scanning your surrounding, knowing what's popular, what's valuable to most people, things like that?
Makes it sound like a superpower now, isn't it?
It is. I think so. It's my demon.
I guess, where do I start? Okay, so yeah, especially with OP now, and the more I practice it, where it gets better in time, I begin to see more how I'm always asking people for their values on stuff, or just, for example, someone's got some new shoes and I'll be like, oh, those are nice. How much they cost? And I'll be like, they tell me the price. I'm like, cool. And then I see that over time, because I've collected like the values on people's shoes, I can see where roughly where in the supposedly hierarchy of how valuable the shoe is, basically. So like someone would come in with a new bunch of shoes and I'd be like, I bet those cost roughly around that price. And they'd be like, yeah. And if they're wrong, then I have more data to see where they would be. And I guess I'm a personal trainer as well. So I would think it's natural that you would know what people would want in terms of fitness. But I guess it's not really that I am accurate about what I think people want. I guess it's the confidence in how I assume I know what people want, which then shows that I am kind of looking at something like that. So like I get a few clients coming in and now I'm like, okay, most likely they want to look good naked, feel good in their own skin, or do it for health. So therefore, everyone to me is kind of relatively the same, but I guess that's me conceptually seeing that. And yeah, I just, yeah, I guess to a certain degree, I'm just thinking about stuff. Yeah, I do see the fashion side of like, if something looks cool or not. And when I've realized when something really catches my eye, if it looks cool, I think it's more that it's new and I've never seen it before. So I like motorbikes. I see a lot when I'm riding around. I saw this guy come on a motorcycle and he was very very color coordinated with his new motorcycle. And I thought he looked great. So I was like, oh my God, mate, you look awesome. Like random on a motorbike. And he was like, oh yeah, cheers, mate. And then he rode off. But it was the fact. So one, I'm looking at what kind of value it has. And two, because I've seen so many, to me, that was like a brand new one that I hadn't seen. So I was like, that definitely caught my attention, which is being like a new experience. And now I'm beginning to see I do it like someone addicted to crack.
Yeah, right. Wow. So that really shows that you're aware of what is and also what you haven't seen before. You can put everything like on a spectrum and you
Well,
know.
I'm getting aware. Before it was just on autopilot. I didn't know I was doing it. Now
Mm,
with OP and trying to slow down and actually think about what I'm saying while I'm saying it, I'm getting to see, oh, you are kind of looking at that. Like, this is going to sound kind of bad, but even as a PT now, I've realized maybe it's part of being a personal trainer at the same time, but I'm always like comparing everyone's physiques and seeing like where they are from like a fitness point of view, or how to make it better, or how to make it generally more desirable on the general scale of things. So like in my head, I know the average physique of how a guy should look and how
right.
she would look from this point of them wanting to train and get into good shape. So yeah, it's just running in the background.
Wow, that's really fascinating for me. I mean, I'm not as aware of my surroundings or you know the physical objects or what should be or so forth. It's kind of, to me, that's a superpower, really. Yeah, well,
Technically,
yeah,
yeah,
go on.
I would say technically, yeah. I wouldn't say it's a superpower. I probably would say it's actually, yeah, you could say it's like a superpower, but it's a double-edged sword because I do it on crack and the sleep there is not sleep is not there enough to pull it. Whereas it would be that the like consume and blast are a bit more balanced.
Right, right, yeah. So before we go into your consume and blast, because those are very interesting since you have them in the top
Yeah.
three, and that means that you are an InfoDom, not an energy dom. Which is a very interesting and special thing in itself. But before that, maybe we could contrast your play, your first animal,
It's
with your
fine.
sleep, the last animal. Those are
Yeah,
the
that's fine.
energy. Okay,
Do the
good.
control. I'll talk
Okay, I'm
everything.
controlling this. So in terms of, you were just mentioning that the play can make you sometimes miss the sleep. So how does that play out? Like, what does it look like if you miss your sleep animal?
To me, it just, because, okay, I think first, there are like, the nature of OP is that even if you're a sleep loss, there are different degrees of sleep loss. So it's like you all have the same disease, but they're different symptoms. So it's like they're all in the same category. And for me, the sleep loss feels more like I'm just unconscious in certain areas, that like you'd ask me a question and you'd think, well, you've been living in this body for a long time. You think you would know. And then it hits me and I'm like, oh, really? I really don't know. And then it takes me longer. So it takes me longer to kind of process it. Like I've got someone will ask me how my day's going. And if I'm really genuine about it, I have to stop, pause, and then just really go, okay, I feel like this, I feel like that, I feel like this. It just doesn't come out straight away. But then I think everyone would be like that. However, for me, from what I understand in the terms of building for yourself and preserving, I can see that I jump around from so many things. And because of the OP now giving me a kind of informational lens to see what I'm doing and slowly trying to do it, I'm beginning to see like, okay, now this is what sleep means, of just doing repetitively the same thing. But as you can see, I'm talking this all over the place, but like,
No, it's good. It's good.
my day to day is very, I'm doing a lot. Like I wake up early, train clients, ride to the gym, train more clients, train myself, then try and do some admin stuff, try and then go forward in like business and other things of life, train some more clients, get home, sleep, eat, repeat. And it kind of takes its toll. And then it gets to a point where I feel like the analogy that was said, that it's like the car meter and the petrol meter on your car is not working. It's like when I start feeling my body, I literally feel like my body's empty and I'm still moving. Like actually yesterday I got home and I got home and I was tired. So I was just lying there and I was like, why the hell am I tired? And then I actually got annoyed about it. I was like, because I'm trying to rectify that. And I was just like, oh my God, why am I so tired? Why am I so tired? Let me just rest. Like, because I was like, I'm not in the mood for anything. So for this time, I didn't go on my phone or anything like that. I just laid there. And in about 20 minutes, I kind of felt good to go. So
that's amazing.
yeah.
So
But
fast
yeah, but
recharging.
that wasn't a true recharge. I know it's not a true recharge. It's like there's a lot of, in the scientific literature, there's basically the time it takes for you to diet down. So if they say it took you 6 months to diet, you should really have a diet break and relax for like 6 months or more. So considering that I've been doing all this running around, I should really take like a couple months off to really like mentally, spiritually, physiologically, you name it, recharge.
Yeah. Right. Like push the reset button.
But it's
Or
hard to do that because I can see it now, that because I'm, it depresses me to say I'm erratic. I can see it. Like it's almost like in the play side, the masculine OEs like go here, go here, go here, go here, go here, start something, get bored, go to this bit, start something, get bored. So nothing really builds because it's always changing. And because I'm like that, I'm seeing myself in the gather function of just taking on new tasks, taking on new tasks, taking on new tasks. And I use like a system now to try and prioritize my day and do what I need to do based off David Allen, who was basically my opposite type in Decider version. And even then, I could see, okay, I'm going to do 7 things in a day. Oh, can't do it. Put it on a new thing. And I could see that I had to minimize what I was doing. But I would also see I'd have like a box area where I put things that top projects I need to do. And all of a sudden I began to see that those project lists just got bigger and bigger and bigger and bigger. And I was like, whoa, you haven't even finished the first one and you're adding more. Like
right.
I'm into stocks and ISAs and stuff like that. Just something that I've managed to put into learn. And all of a sudden I wanted to start going to look at Bitcoin and I caught myself and I was like, know your role, and slow down. So it's just, it's not even, yeah, just, I just want to do new. And then when I try and just stick on one thing, so for example, with the typing, I'm like, okay, nothing's really going in the way that I want. So you need to do what you kind of know that you should have done a long time ago. And for my sake, just download one type, then go back into the typing in, because you've got that burn in your mind. You'll start to see the comparison because you like to do the comparison with the SE. So I'm watching Jordan Peterson all over again, because I used to watch him when I was young before I even knew about OP, but I never finished everything. So I'm like, oh, that's funny now. You've come full circle to watch all videos.
Yeah.
And I've watched about 7 hours worth of his playlist. And I've told myself, Sam, you have to finish this. And it's hard because I've watched this and now I'm like, I want to stop now. So like sometimes I tend to listen to him when I'm riding on my motorcycle. And then it'll get to the point where I have to do it. And I'm like, I don't want to listen to this. I want to go listen to something new on YouTube.
Yeah, well, what's wrong with that if you then revisit? I mean, maybe you need to have like a couple of projects, not just like this one single mission.
That's what I'm doing. Is before it used to be like 10 projects. Now it's like 6, 5. And I was dashing between them. But now what I'm kind of doing is I have a tracker to kind of show me what's getting hit most when I follow it properly. So if I do one of the projects, I click like one, and then at the end of the week, it sees what I'm doing. And right now I can see one thing I've really focused more on it. And I'm like, okay, so if I'm reading more about this book, can I choose to do that while life is still going on? So I'm like, okay, cool. And I'm just getting the momentum on it. So going back to the Jordan Peterson, yeah, it's like anything like workouts, it becomes more of a habit and a habit and a habit and a habit. And it is actually paying off because I'm getting two benefits, because I know I don't know what it is. Well, his type, and I guess preferably him, tends to move me a lot when I listen to it. So I'm like, I might as well listen to him and get moved by stuff that I think seems to resonate with me, because he's just an EP on that side. And at the same time, it's helping me for the OP.
Right. So basically, if I understand you correctly, both this David Allen guy and Jordan Peterson are tied somehow to your sleep processing, like you wanting to improve your sleep.
Yeah. The David, well, I just realized I said a lot and it probably wasn't coherent. So the David Allen guy, the overall story was, I guess I'm not going to give you I'm going to give you the detail. I'm just watching.
Sure, I love details. I need to practice those.
So I was looking at a gentleman called Jin who does typing from the OP community, and I was watching his videos. And then I saw something called Organized Over Gather. And then I was watching it, and it was basically David Allen with this woman who you could tell was more the gathering nature, and he was telling her what to do. And then it actually moved me and made me cry because he was saying all the things I wanted to do in a savior state. And I would say that in a demon state, like, man, I'm trying to get my mind clear. I'm trying to be more systematic and just get things done. So everything's like systematic, like my bodybuilding and such. I'd be saying it like that. And then when I heard him say it and I knew about OP, I was like, oh my God, he's doing what I want to do. And it just moved me because it was almost like I found the Holy Grail. Wow. That's what it was like. Because I knew instinctively that's what I need to do. Have I finished it? No, but I'm pushing myself to go through it. So,
that's awesome. Yeah.
Yeah. So then, funny enough, he was the opposite type of me, animals wise, in OP. So it's like, oh, you've found him. Your gathering is helping you to find him. And so by using his system, I've basically taken his principles and then created on Notion a kind of systematic system where it's like, okay, every so often I have different categories of what I need to do, like life, finance, clients, this, that. And then every week it pops up. So you need to check it. And then within those, you can prioritize what you're meant to do each day. So I have my weekly, what I'm meant to do in the week, and then I have what I'm meant to do in the day. And then when you go into each one of them, you can put in like mini notes and texts about what you're doing. And that way, so for example, let's say I'm learning OP. So I've got like a little function called the way of sleep, where I'll write something in there and then I'll put a little note, okay, your next step when you come back to this next week on Saturday is to do this. So therefore, it's like having checkpoints as I'm going in life. And then because it rotates and comes round, it's kind of reminding me, because before I even use that, I don't even know how I functioned in life, because now it's just like, I'm sort of almost becoming like a robot. And therefore, using that system has allowed me to make more progress, or be more fluid progress. It's basically like my bodybuilding, which I use a spreadsheet in that. Like, I'm very meticulous with that stuff. So I'm taking that principle and putting it there. And so the Jordan Peterson stuff is literally, I'm doing it for typing, but at the same time, because he moves me. Like, again, he's made me cry a couple of times when I'm listening to him, like the whole clean your room side note thing, when I was like, I always know I need to clean my room. But for me, it wasn't the physical clean my room, it was the conceptual clean my room. Because now on a deep level, I knew everything's a little bit messed in your life right now. So if you can start there and build out, those principles are going to move into everything else in your life. So seeing like Jordan Peterson do that, and I was just like, I guess the DE side of me was like, oh, it's nice to know that someone else is already saying that, which means that I know that. And I guess also because he's TI and FE, the way he explains the value and the logic that he uses is kind of in a systematic way. Not to say TE is not systematic, but it's the same decider axis. So it's like I can follow what he's saying when I do understand some of the bits that he's saying, because he's any go crazy. And so since I've been learning him, slowly it's been getting better. And even speaking to a lot of NE people, it's like when they go into intuition land, they're flying at 200 miles per hour and I'm flying at 10. Now I'm flying at 20 miles per hour. So I'm still nowhere near them, but it's like, okay, I can kind of see them now jump from concept to concept. And it's slowly, the matrix is appearing in my eyes.
That's so interesting. Yeah. Wow. There are so many things here that you are talking about that I want to, expand on. But okay, I'll just try to avoid a little bit, back to the sleep. So the first part of what you were saying, that's what I do, was that basically you are tracking your sleep more now.
Yeah,
consciously.
Right now it's in the stages of so right now I have a project called The Way of Sleep, because my realization or epiphany or whatever the hell you want to call it was like, okay, look, you are not that animal. You're not going to do it like them. So like in martial arts, you have Kung Fu. And so in one Kung Fu, there's the way of the tiger. They've basically watched a tiger and copied its movements. They're not a tiger, but they're doing martial arts based off a tiger. So I'm like, okay, why don't you try and understand the sleeps and then take those principles and make like dumbed down principles that you can follow. So in there, I have like a few questions to ask that if I do follow them, it starts to sort of allow me to sort of go into the gateway of whatever this sleep is for me. So it's like, what is my path of intent? Path of intent is basically what path do I need to go and what do I tend to do? So I know my overall goal of what I'm doing. Then how did the day go? Because now I know the path of intent, I know whether that day is contributing to that. And then how did it go? Once I know how the day's gone, I go, what happens if I can't carry on this way? So like if the goal is here and then I carry on this way, it might let me know, no, you're going that trajectory, which is not good. So then I ask the next question, what do I need to do to hit my path, to hit my goal? So therefore, by asking that question, I'm like, okay, you automatically know what you need to do the next day and you see the chain of events. And if I just leave it with those 4 questions, it shouldn't really matter what scenario I'm in. Technically, I'll be good. However, yeah.
That sounds really smart. I mean, like you're putting those introverted functions, you're tracking them in the sensory somehow, so you can see the steps and how far you are from where you want to be.
Yeah. Well, I think this is all from, it's not my original idea, but I remember conversing with a few people and they were saying, or even OP have said that, Dave and Shannon, about your masculine functions is kind of where you store your memory. And it's like this. So imagine I have this wooden table, yeah? And with the wooden table, I have a light, like a pen light, yeah? This pen light is got like a laser beam, so it can burn stuff, but it's really weak. You have to go over it and over it and over it. And basically, when I get the pen light is the intuition, the table is the sensory. So as I'm using the pen light, go say writing my name in there, if I do it the first time, you can hardly see it, so hardly remember it. But then when I start to physically go over it and burn it into the actual table, that's kind of how it sticks in. So I've noticed now that I remember everything kind of by experience. So when I'm riding to a new place on a sat nav, using a sat nav, after a while, even if I'd lost my sat nav and I've done it a couple of times, I can kind of feel how to get there. So I guess I must be aware of some kind of spatial time awareness. Yeah. But using the app, if I pull it in, it's more likely to stay in for me.
Right. Yeah. Wow, that's really fascinating. Yeah. So if we jump over to your middle animals, because I want to have time to explore the InfoDom thing, the consume and the blast. So you're consume over blast, which means that you respect the information, you respect the consume before you teach it and distribute it further. So I don't know, I was just re-listening to Benjamin's explanation of the difference between the InfoDoms and the energy DOMs. I don't know if you've been listening or watching that.
Yeah, I've seen a few. Yeah, I've seen a few of it back in the past.
Right.
But I don't think I'm up to date with it 100%. I've tried to stop taking in everything.
Yeah. Sometimes you need to process as well. Because the InfoDoms are actually playing a different game, you could say, from the energy DOMs. We are not doing the same thing. And my understanding at this point is that the InfoDoms are aligning with the information, while the energy DOMs are trying to be congruent with the tribe. So other people's perspective should match, your own perspective on yourself. So those two should align. So that's what's happening for the energy DOMs. While for the InfoDom, you need to align with the information. So you, yourself, and the info should align. That's the NI of it, if I understood it correctly. Maybe there are too little details.
I've seen this go on a lot with people, so it's like, these two coins.
Yeah, can you see that info side in yourself, that the information is like the priority for you, that you need to align yourself and your life to the information rather than the tribe's perspective of you?
Yeah, so I guess I'm going to do it right now, but it's like, one, I don't really understand what you mean by congruent, because then it makes me think, well, if I'm not doing that naturally, maybe I don't even get the real experience of that. But the information side I'm just going to talk how it feels, and then you're going to take what it is, because I don't see it. We're all using slightly different ends to these different words, if you get where I'm coming from. So to me, it's not that I'm aligning. If I say it raw, you're going to get the flavor of what it is. That's what I'm about to do right now. So in my head, it's like, I'm not trying to align with any information, it seems like a no-brainer. Like, if you're going to tell me something and I don't understand it, how can we even go do anything? Because the information is not pure, because we're going to misunderstand each other, which means the teamwork is not going to be right, if it makes sense.
So
that's
the information needs to be pure, basically.
Yeah, it needs to be pure, because you're going to, as I would understand it, you're going to say something to me, I'm going to take that in. If I understand that, then I can digest it, process it, see where it's right, throw it back at you, and then you're going to take it and then do the same thing. And then the information just gets recycled between us eventually over time. And then it becomes obviously my end's going to come in at the same time as I'm saying this, but like the pure diamond of information that we need.
Like the truth of it.
Yeah, truth.
Yeah,
yeah, true.
Kind of. I mean, it could change over time, but for now, like.
It's still, it would be the truth. It would be the truth nonetheless of what is whatever, right, or however you want to go from it. And then from there, you go do it, which I think I also see it as like, if you take the system of the double deciders and the double observers, we're all messed up on our observer or decider. So your double ones, you overuse them because you don't have the other one. I think you're just doing that with the animals as well, that in some way, because I don't have the sleep, the information or the information people, the info people just start getting stuck, because I think there's meant to be a natural cycle as this, that, this, then it's complete. But it's this, that, this, that, this, and it gets stuck. So going back to the whole aligning with it, I probably do align with it if you want to use the way that they say it. I just personally don't like that way of saying it. It's just, information is why we talk, it's why we communicate.
So for you, this is like very, very natural. So I don't think you even realize that you're doing it, you know? The way I hear you talking about it, like finding out the essence of the information, like the clarity of the information, the truth, and then doing it is what I hear you saying. Like,
actually, you're right, because I'm not even talking about this congruency of, I don't even understand that 100% yet of
so
what it is.
Like matching that information with your life. So for example, if you know that I don't know, you're into health, so you probably know things that are related to health that are important for your well-being. So that piece of information would make you strive to kind of do it, you know?
I see.
Is that something you could relate to? I'm kind of
making
that up as I go.
It's all good.
Blaster style.
I can see that, because then I would say, look, technically I'm a personal trainer, so I'm talking about health, love and happiness and all that kind of stuff in terms of helping people to get to their goals. And then at the same time, I'm a play last. So then being a play last, my life is not as in balance as maybe I would want it to be, which then would probably make me sound like I'm chatting crap, if that's what you kind of mean then.
Not quite following, to be honest.
Okay.
Play last?
Yeah, so what I'm saying is, I'm a PT. I train people, and I know the importance of being healthy, getting to your rest, having a balanced approach to everything. But the irony is that I'm sleep last. So most likely, if you follow me, I'm not doing that to the creme de la creme of the optimum of what I could be, if it makes sense.
Yeah, well, no one is perfect. I mean, it's one thing to strive and another thing to succeed like 100%. I mean, practice makes perfect. You won't do that. Like,
I'm not gonna lie to you. I probably just don't get this. I don't get this energy thing 100%. Yeah, I haven't downloaded it into my soul, but I can see when I'm doing the information a bit more. So I've noticed when I'm talking to people and they say something that I don't understand, I'm able to kind of just and let the conversation flow on. But now usually I just want to be like, okay, so what do you mean by that? So when even you said the congruency when you was talking in the first part, I wanted to stop you and say, what do you mean? Like, because I want proper clarification, and then I'll get enough information, and then I can go blast eventually if I want to.
Right. Yeah. And that is a very good example. So I guess it's a natural thing to ask, what did you mean? But on the other hand, if you're an energy dom, you will not always do that. You will care more about the flow of the conversation, the vibe, things like that. And sometimes the information won't be clear or, understood perfectly. But you will kind of sacrifice that in order just to be vibing or, yeah.
And I think I do that more when I don't care, because
Right.
we can all do everything. If I'm like, okay, if I'm not trying to consume anything, then I would think I'd be more like that, because in my head I'd be like, yeah, I kind of know what they mean, so I just flow with it.
Yeah, right. And you are also SF, like SEFE, so you're really aware again
Yeah,
about like how people react and all that. So you are a vibey guy because of that, but you still have that info side to you where you want the
yeah,
clarity. Yeah.
yeah. I've noticed I can be more chill at times. However, my consume is still masculine, so it can be kind of strong when I want to learn. But compared to the T infos, theirs seems a bit more like punchy, because I am still aware of this emotional state that is around us, so to speak.
Right.
So
So
my
they won't
question,
like stop themselves because they don't even read maybe the vibe. They don't fully.
no, maybe I'll give them benefit of the doubt. Maybe they do know, but it's more so the case that because I'm feminine DE, that's like one of the it's the least opposing of the DEs, and it's feminine DE and it's feeling as well. So like it's not like a physical punch. It's like it just doesn't you don't feel it as much. I can't explain it, because like T's, like you see when people are teeing together, it's like if 1+1 is 2 and divide this and we're gonna do this and that. But when you're vibing with someone, it's something is happening, but you don't see like something happening. It just kind of it's in the background.
Yeah, right. Yeah, I get it. I think that was a very good insight, like for me to have about your perspective on the being an infodom. It's different from myself. It's very different actually. I have noticed, even though I also have double masculine consume, but consume last.
Okay.
I think it is important to get things right, And as you said, well, there are things you care about more than other things. But the main importance will still be to, you know, it's more the question of what you do first. Like we have this energy dom BC now in the Discord. So that's more kind of a place where you're just playing and not really, getting any useful information. I mean, it can be, but most times it's this back and forth, just having fun kind of a thing. But when the InfoDoms come into BC, I always learn something, So there is a clear difference. I can't really put my finger on the experience quite yet. I'm still exploring and learning about it, but yeah, I better stop rambling now.
No, just made me think about what the two coins are. Well, the consumer blast is trying to do, gather blast, so it just kind of recycles, but then when I take that concept, that logic, or whatever you want to call it, and apply it to play and sleep, do stuff with people, slow down, because obviously I'm a DE side. I'm like, you got to play with people because that's what life's kind of about. But at the same time, you got to preserve for yourself, because if you don't preserve yourself, you're going to burn yourself out, which is also going to hamper other people at the same time. And also you got to know your own parameters, because if you let people step over you, it's not good for yourself. So you're kind of in that constant dance with other people and yourself. But then the way you guys use it in the sense of just having a fun time, that kind of eludes me, because I guess even in my head as an info, I'm like, yeah, we have good times.
Yeah.
And that, I guess it's all just all information.
You have
based.
a good time exchanging information, basically.
Yeah. Yeah.
Do you feel that you need to have that direction, like the progress of information, that you are building something during the conversation, that you're leaving the place with a little bit more than you had before you came in to that, space discussion?
I think it's more about, I would look at it this way, but like, what type of vibe do you even have with the person? Because if you're on that deep connection level where you don't need to talk, then you can just be like, don't need to say anything. But then maybe if you've met someone and I don't know them, I just run to the consume and blast and just start talking, because I'm trying to build a rapport through information. Maybe that's what comes to my head, because if we're on the same wavelength and we're chilled, don't need to talk. It is nice to sometimes just do stuff and have someone there.
Yeah.
But who knows?
Yeah. It seems like the information on the front end, and then you can kind of bond on an even deeper level,
Remember, I'm a sleep last info, so if you talk to a more sleep high, maybe you'll get more nuggets from it.
Sure. But I'm putting all these interviews together. I am learning about the beta quarter at this point, and I'm just collecting bits and pieces from every interview and trying to build an understanding of the quarter and the parts from OP. So yeah, anything is good, any information is good at this point. Yeah.
No worries.
So let's jump back to the SF side of you. I wanted to ask, I was talking with Michelle, I think that was in episode 3, about how sometimes our SF play can be misunderstood and be taken as flirting when we're actually not intending to flirt. Has that ever happened to you?
Let me just calm down first.
That seems to happen to everyone in the beta quarter, but let me have your view of it.
Okay. This is an interesting one, because I don't see how it's flirty, but apparently it is flirty.
Right.
And I've recently had a conversation with someone about this yesterday, and it was I think, is it flirty? Okay, so I think it's flirty because, one, the FE side is values to other people, so it's going to want to move people's states emotionally to feel good or to get something. And therefore, because you're doing that, and most people want to do it in a positive, or I would want to do it in a positive way, you're going to do stuff that kind of makes them feel good. But then that's just the general platonic kind of like FE side of it. And I guess with the SE, like I like to call like the SE like my spider sense, that it's in the moment and it's very responsive. So from a young age, it's probably crap. But then as I get better, the NI starts building up unconsciously. So I know how to respond to certain situations. It's like, I don't know what I'm doing, but it's just the body knows this, that, this, flirt about that. However, in terms of like the flirty side, I I've never seen myself as flirty at all. I always thought I didn't know how to flirt, but then I know that I can be cheeky and say things that are kind of not appropriate, but they work because they're funny.
Mm.
And then people laugh because it's like, in my personal training, I've said certain things to get people to learn techniques. So there's like an exercise where it's like you're bending over. And I would say to people, or even in a group, you want to pretend that you're teasing your partner and you're pulling your pants down. Yeah. And everyone understands that.
Mm.
Not, I guess it just comes across like, yeah, you're cheeky because you're pushing it. It's not something we should say, but because everyone laughs, you can get away with it. And therefore, I guess we're all human beings at the end of the day, but you're talking about things that people like, and it's still, you know what? I don't know.
Right. Because
yeah,
I think with, like, for instance, myself, I mean, we can read a room, having FE. You kind of
okay,
know where people are at, you'll feel, you'll sense if something is off, with the vibe. Maybe someone is, down, or
yeah,
upset or whatever, and you'll sense it. So
yeah,
we have this understanding of, um, the value people have, and
yeah,
the feelings and all that. So we can kind of use that, our FE, as you said, to help people in various ways, because we see where they are at, and then with the SC, scanning what is like around us, and trying to combine that thing that would be helpful for this person, and thereby kind of giving them that special attention. Because I think a lot of people are, who don't have SF play, they aren't, used to, maybe, I don't know, getting this kind of attention. I don't know. I'm just guessing here, but I'm just trying to say that the SF play can come across as flirty, because we seem to be very attentive, and we seem to find out what this specific person seems to need at that given time,
yeah.
And
No,
so
I
when
can,
we are just being kind of helpful or kind, or noticing something, giving a comment on something that we noticed, that can seem like a little bit extra, extra caring, if you see what I'm saying.
yeah, because you
And
speak the language of emotion.
right, and that could be like taken the wrong way sometimes. I don't know if you can relate to this.
Yeah, I had a client of mine, a male client, thought I was flirting with him, and I was just like, no, I'm just
Ooh.
being a friend. And he wanted to invite me to his place to train him, but that obviously meant something else. But yeah, so I can see it in that way. Uh,
What was it that you did that made him interpret that as
what did I
flirting?
do? I was just being friendly.
Right. That's what I'm
yeah,
talking about. Us being just friendly
yeah,
seems to be perceived as
yeah,
sometimes as flirting. Yeah.
yeah. That one kind of just like even it bedazzles me that he received it that
Yeah.
way, and yeah, I just like I know it can be playful when I'm in a unconscious state to generate emotion and such. So I think that's good. But then I think maybe there's always some type of like courtship within people, and not necessarily to go that way, but just like a general, there's always a dance between people. And I think if you have SCFE play, it's almost like it's more primal. It's like, because we all do everything, but because you're so close to that primal side, because it seems to me like the SF is more of a primal function, that you just are able to flow with it a bit better, because you're seeing how people move and you know what to say to make them feel good, because effectively we're still emotional creatures nonetheless. And we as human beings, I guess, are like, you go to stuff that you like and you go to stuff that, and you stay away from stuff that you don't like. And in our system, we are like, this navigating system is like, if it makes us feel good, I'm going to do it more. Or if it promotes some type of survival in us, I'm going to do it more. So then I guess if you have SF play and you notice that if I make people feel good, they're going to be kinder to me, which is then going to help me in some way, which is going to promote survival on the grand scale of being a human being, you start doing it more, and certain feelings are more impactful than other types of emotions. Hence the phrase, you see it everywhere, sex sells. So like when they're trying to sell something, they have like, buy this new special edition barbecue. And then there's a good looking guy or a good looking chick. It's like, what's that to do with it? But the fact that that sexual emotion is so powerful and it feels good, people are drawn to it. So then maybe when you're flirting, which has some type of that connotation underneath, it feels good. Do you know what I mean? Like, oh, hey, you're looking good. Looking great today. Like, I'm flirting, but I'm not like, who doesn't want to feel desirable? Right. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, yeah. And also what I'm thinking about is that even when you are kind of, scanning the tribe and being kind and friendly and funny or whatever you're doing with your SF play, it's not sure that that actually aligns with your NT, your purpose, your objective, your goals in life, or your identity, you know? So I think like we have this, the SF play is kind of spreading out everywhere, but then there is just a small, narrow path that kind of is deep to us, that really means something, that this person is special. This is something that I want to build on, this relationship or whatever. But it may seem from the outside that you like everyone and everything equally. This is a little bit intuitive.
No,
overview style.
No, I get it. It's just, to me, it was like, whoa, I'm like, whoa, how did we get here? But okay, I see what you mean. So it's like, what are you trying to say? Because I understand it, but from
yeah, so I'm trying to say that the extroverted functions, they don't always align with our identity. So sometimes when we use them, and they are much appreciated on the outside by the people we meet in our lives, but it's not as deep, it doesn't go all the way into our identity, that extroverted action.
Yeah, I can agree with you there. The SF that I have just feels like it's for people. It's not for me. Like,
right.
I've noticed many times when no one's around me, and then I'm thinking, and I guess sleeping to a certain degree as well, everything gets more, I get more serious in my face. You almost think that, Sam, is there something wrong? And I'm like, no, I'm just thinking. And then when I see people, I'm like, hey, how you doing? It's fun to be around. So yeah, the SF, as much as I guess it exudes out my pores, apparently, it doesn't feel like that's me. It just feels like, okay, I'm interacting with people. That's what I've got to do. But like deep down inside, if you get to know me and you're like, Sam, what are you doing today? What are you doing this and that? Well, I'm like, well, trying to build a system to be more organized. I'm trying to do this and I want to be systematic about this and I got to do this and I got to tweak it this way. I got to make it smooth and efficient. And that's where it goes. That's what feels like is me. But then at the same time, I'm like, maybe sleep last DE at the same time. Who wants to know about what I'm tinkering on? Like, they don't need to know about that. They just need the emotion, the joy.
Right. Yeah. We always seek comfort in our saviors, and we think that is the way to go. Like, maybe they actually do want to know you on a more personal level. Maybe they want to know more about your sleep, but you will still feel, since you are play above sleep and play savior, that that's what the tribe wants. That's what they need from me.
Yeah, yeah, you're right. I suppose even if I do show my sleep side, I always feel like I don't think I should be really giving this out.
Right,
Like,
right.
yeah, it's
It's
like,
uncomfortable to go to our lesser,
yeah,
inferior functions and animals.
yeah, exactly that. And it just feels like being a bit crazy. Just keep that to yourself.
Right.
Yeah,
Yeah. So technically, I'm crazy then, because I'm your demons. My saviors are your demons.
yeah,
Kind of.
but I think it's, I guess I have an fixation with my demons. So I think you're just like awesome, especially as your blast sleep. So in my function flow, just from listening to you and what you've kind of been doing, I'm like, oh, okay. That actually proves what I was thinking about how I'm supposed to do it in terms of the blast and sleep, because I'll do the gathering, got all the information, then I should just go do it, and then I'll start sleeping. But I'll just be like, maybe a bit of blast puts me a little bit of sleep, stop.
Mm. Yeah, I think we learn from each other. I enjoy watching people who are using my demons as yourself, because I see what I'm kind of missing and what I need
Yeah.
to work on, and all that. Like, yeah, it's so good to see how my demons are supposed to be used, and what I can strive for. So yeah,
Well,
I
I wouldn't
appreciate,
say I wouldn't say supposed to be used.
or
I
how
would
they
say,
can be used, maybe.
yeah, because I have no restraint with the play. But at the same time, I'm supposed to be like that from an evolutionary point of view, because it seems that life is so chaotic that you need specialists or people addicted to certain functions, because
Mm,
it's going to be needed. Like, I used to joke around to my friends, like, listen, mate, if I need to be a leader, it's in times of chaos. I call myself a chaos leader. And I was like, now in OP terms, if you want to just connect it for the sake of connecting, I'm like, oh my God, yeah, because you can handle the supposedly chaos when it's super chaotic, when you have to juggle so many things that are
yes,
going.
yes.
So,
And that is something very impressive to me, having SE last, like being able to juggle all those things in the physical world at the same time. Like, yeah.
but then we're looking at the deciders and their territory. They're the ones who would really do that. Technically, what I'm supposed to be good at is the F and the T, with the FE and the TI, because that would be more
Yeah.
balanced.
In the middle. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, the emotion and logic intertwined.
Right. Right. Yeah. How do you see them play out, your FE and TI? Are they very close to each other? Do you almost feel like you're a thinker, or, yeah?
I was a thinker. I
Mm,
technically I am a thinker because it's your identity. That's like the
mm,
you. But
yes.
I always thought, even when I did MBTI, I was like, yeah, I'm a thinker. I don't know about emotion. It's too wrong. I don't like to process that. But that was more the sleep loss, not processing stuff. I don't have the problem with the emotion. The problem is the processing. And so I always saw myself as a thinker, but then at the same time, it makes sense because I have masculine DI. So it's like I always want to say what is, like what I think is true, but I will always pull my punches, if it makes sense. So it's
Mm,
like being like, yeah, so Superman, the character, he could destroy the planet, but when he punches people, he's pulling back his punches because it would be too much. So whenever I want to kind of tell people the truth, I don't, because I know the emotional impact on how it could be on them. So I have to say it in a way that is supposedly eloquent with words, so they're getting the truth, but it's not going straight to the soul and destroying it. But that,
right.
yeah, I'm sure you can probably relate to that as well, because you're the same feminine
Yeah.
DE.
Mm,
But
Yeah, go
Yeah.
on. No.
The thing I don't like about it is it can make me a bit too docile at times, where someone will do something to me, I'll just flow with it. And then later on, like the next day or hours later, I start thinking about it and I'm like, I didn't like that.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah. And then I get really annoyed at myself for letting that happen.
Yeah, we do that on the back end because we have the exact same modalities. So we're both feminine DE and masculine TI. And yeah, like in the moment you are kind of okay with it. But like you said, the day after or when it sinks in, you feel resistance and like, why did I let them say this or do that? Or
Yeah, it is exactly that. It's exactly that. And then even if I have pushed on the tribe to my eyes, like yet today, there was a guy who was bench pressing. He didn't put his weights away. I was like, listen, mate, you finished? He was like, yeah, can you put your weights away? He did it. And then I felt so bad. I was like, oh my God, shit. But I was like, excuse my language. I was like, oh my God, I feel so bad now because I could see like I feel like I messed up the vibe. And then he came round later on in the session and was coming near to me to train and was looking for something. And I was so more likely to help him because I wanted that vibe to be like, oh, we're good again and we're buddies, because I didn't want to have to tell him what to do in the sense that he should put his weights away.
right. Yeah, yeah. Almost overcompensating, would you say?
Yeah, it's to respect the vibe, because I was in the right to say what I wanted to say, but because he didn't like it or I perceived that he didn't like it, I was like, oh man, I don't feel too good about it. Even thinking about it now, I'm a little bit like, oh,
Yeah, I can identify with that big time. Yeah, and I wonder if sometimes that is a stronger feeling in ourselves, in us who have this feminine FE, than it is in them. You know, I don't think we come across as harsh as we think we do. You know, maybe people didn't even react at all. You know, maybe they didn't even notice. But you will go home and you will kind of be really hard on yourself and think that, wow, why did I say this or do this?
yeah, the damn masculine DI side. burn
Right.
yourself, burn yourself to the core.
Mm-hmm.
That's I still kind of like it that way, but of course I would like it that way because I am that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. And also, we don't need anyone to babysit us because we can babysit ourselves, you know, in that sense. We are punching on ourselves and
Yeah.
correcting ourselves, you know.
Yeah. When it's healthy, it's good. Yeah.
Mm.
When it's healthy. When it goes to a bit of a negative and there's no light, then you can, well, let me finish that. It can kind of implode in itself. And then that's not healthy in itself because it's so fiery. But then the other side is, well, for me, I've noticed I will get into a negative state about something. And
Yeah.
sometimes it comes and it goes. And then sometimes it's like, okay, this is something I should really be processing or something. And then I'll go down, 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 down. And then all of a sudden something will just like click and go, not today, mofo. Let's let's go attack. Do you know what I mean? And
Mm-hmm.
anger brings me back up like I'm not gonna let this conquer me.
Yeah. It's been like, yeah, when time has passed and things have been kind of building up over time and you reach that point when you can't take it anymore. Is that what you're talking about?
Yeah, so it's like a timer. It's like I feel down, feel down, feel down. I don't know if it's growth mind. I don't like using the phrase growth mindset, but it's just like, oh, I've got to do something. I'm not going to let this beat me. And then I just like, I'm not going to give up. And then I carry on. And I have to explain it. It's like I watch a lot of Japanese anime growing up, and the characters are very like, never give up, always push forward when things get hard. So maybe it's just because I've watched stuff like that. But then does that happen for you when you get down about something?
Like forcing myself to just move forward.
Yeah. or pull you out of that
Yeah.
bad emotion?
I think for me, it's a little bit different because I have the sleep second.
Lucky
So I
you.
kind of, yeah, well, I'm not out there in reality as much as I wish, you know, because the SE lasts. So yeah, there are good sides and bad sides. But yeah, I think I let myself indulge to a certain point, you know. It's fine to feel bad and it's fine to, you know, be a bit inefficient and yeah, you know, but then there is a limit to it in the end. Yeah, but I think I let it go further, you know, processing things for quite a bit before I
Yeah.
pull myself out of it. Yeah.
Okay. In theory, this is something I should kind of gather from people and see, but I'm not going to do that. Just see how everyone goes about it.
Yeah, right. Yeah. I was thinking finally, do you have any type twins like in the community or any famous people that you have compared your functions to, where you
Type
can,
twin
yeah,
is
see
type
yours
twin exact type or just very
or
similar?
or close, maybe like
Okay.
one coin off or something.
Okay, so then if it's one coin off, the closest would be Ian, but he's double feminine. So there's him.
Plus he's
Then
energy dom also.
yeah, energy dom. Yeah, double feminine. Sorry, yeah, and energy dom. I said that in my head. And who else? Then there would be Terry Crews, uh, Mike Tyson.
Ooh, Mike Tyson as well. Can you relate to him or any of the other that you
Well,
mentioned?
what's kind of weird is that when I was growing up, people used to call me Mike Tyson and Terry Crews.
Really?
So yeah,
Wow,
I
that's weird.
yeah, Terry Crews because he was a muscular guy who could dance.
Mm-hmm.
I was a muscular guy who can kind of like dance a little bit. And
Mm-hmm.
then the Mike Tyson, I think is probably just the way that my physique looks. So they kind of attribute it to him being like, I'm kind of stocky, if it makes sense.
Yeah,
So
that makes sense.
so they get in that kind of vibe. And when I was a baby, I used to get called Mike Tyson a lot too.
A
So
baby? Really?
I was a
Well,
chubby, like muscular baby. So
that's kind of, yeah, that's funny. And you're almost
yeah,
type twins. So he's double masculine, right?
yeah.
And
Terry
other
Crews.
than,
Sorry.
yeah, and other than that, are you in the same animal stack or is it the one next to you?
No, he's Mike
Also,
Tyson is like Ian, but double masculine.
right.
In
Yeah.
yeah. Whereas I'm the same as actually, yeah, Kevin Hart and Terry Crews.
Okay.
They're both the same in modalities and animal stack. And I've watched quite a fair bit of Terry Crews.
Mm-hmm.
Uh, I've listened to him a lot, and yeah, some things he said, I'm like, okay, if I really focus on how it is similar to me, I'm like, okay, I can kind of see it now. And even how he's coming across, like he's almost like a big friendly giant because you look at him physically and he's a beast. But then when you hear him talking, his emotional movement and such, it's like, whoa, this is different. It's different. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah. Yeah.
And I can get that to a certain degree with me in the sense that like when I'm in the gym and training and got the pump and stuff like that, I can look intimidating to some people. When they know me, I'm like friendly and blah, 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 and we're all equal. So I can see that. And then the value side, the emotion side comes in as well of paying attention to how people feel and are you right? Are you down? Blah, 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 this and that. Like I saw one woman walking to me and then she looked kind of sad. And then something just went, are you okay? And she was like, yeah, no, I'm okay. Cheers. And then she was like proper smiling just because I asked her that. So
Oh,
there you go.
yeah. Yeah, that's so true. Yeah, you have this really kind vibe, like when we are in the Discord talking, like, yeah, you can talk to everyone, and I don't think anyone feels intimidated. I never get that vibe. So yeah,
Yeah.
I can see
Need to
that.
be more masculine.
Yeah.
Be more masculine. Nah, I'm joking. Yeah, that's something that I've noticed has been very interesting in my life, that there are people that people don't like,
Mhm.
and most of them I tend to get on with. And there's only, and sometimes I'm like, how am I just getting on with quite a few people? Because I know I don't get on with everyone. But
Mm.
I think you have it too then, that it's the just the feminine deity is just so chilled. It's
Mm.
just walk all over me because I really don't care.
Right. Yeah.
Pushing me. So it's just, it's not like we're passive, but it's just like, it's no big deal. And
No,
so it's not a threat until it really starts becoming a problem.
that's so true. And yeah, I can really relate to that. I'm thinking, do you often get angry, or is it rather
Yeah.
rare?
It it I hate it. When I get angry, it just goes back down. It's like the FE is like, nope. The feminine D is like, nope, push that down. I do
Yeah.
get angry.
Yeah.
There's times in Discord and stuff like that, people said stuff, and it kind of annoys me
Mm.
a little bit, maybe because it's like showing a bit of sleep or just the way they've gone about it, but that
Mm.
happens.
Mm-hmm.
But then it just kind of like fizzles down. Or
Mm.
if someone really annoys me in the real world and it's something that I really hate, after a while, maybe family's a bit different, but like sometimes family will do something and it just really annoys me. And I'm like, I'm going to hate you for the rest of my life. Yeah, like that
Mm.
kind of mode. And then I can't maintain it. It just, they say something nice or everything, and I'm like, oh, you got me again. Like I
Yeah.
can hold it ways, then they go say something, or they bring a little peace offering, and I know what they mean, and I'm like,
Mm.
damn, okay, come in, we're cool
Yeah,
again.
it's kind of hard to stay angry when you kind of understand people and where they come from,
Mm-hmm.
and you can read them.
Yeah, yeah, I think you said it as well, but the FE, using the emotion to understand people, that's where it's like, and then being a double decider, I'm like, I can see I can see where you're wrong. I can see where you're right. I can see where you're coming from, what you intentionally meant. And even though it kind of hurts, that wasn't your intention. So it's like, who am I to, who am I to carry that harbor to you? Like we all make mistakes.
Yeah. Wow, that's so beautiful. That could be a conclusion of our interview. What do you think? Do you have anything you want to add? Any thoughts about your type, about your functions, your animals, modalities, something that you have been thinking of, processing, that you want to share, maybe to other people with similar functions?
To all the sleepless out there, I kind of just feel like when I'm watching a lot of people and seeing like this, if the hero's journey is what is supposed to happen, and if you know, if you have a successful hero's journey, I just feel like this, everything that I've gathered, I will develop a really good sleep on it and just use that to share it to the rest of the tribe, basically. Because it's like, yeah, you've had your pre-processed thoughts, but I never had my pre-processed thoughts. I literally went around the whole world and experienced everything. And now I'm beginning to see these really important things. And therefore, as I sit down as an old man and think about it, when I start blasting, and I've noticed when I do blast to those who are pretty receptive, I used to get people going, Sam, you're like a preacher, man. You like, you're proper preaching truth and such. And maybe the way that I'm looking at it, like, I'm always going to say it like this, but I don't know if OP is true, but it's very efficient in whatever it's doing and it's kind of working. But I'm not religious by nature, but as I'm growing more and more in life and I'm seeing the religious side, I'm seeing the scientific side, I'm seeing the spiritual side, and obviously I have the N, in my own honest heart, I feel like you're all just talking about the same stuff, and really you're all using a certain system to get you to whatever this spiritual essence is. So like I can see that, really I can see why people would want to fight about it, and because it's true to them. But
Mm,
now it's made me more respectful of everyone's creed and religion, that because you're all kind of looking at it from the same way, which then makes me find my own path that kind of aligns to it. And I can see that if I was really, 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 like if I was a high IQ version of my type, because I think the higher your IQ, the better you will be of your type to a certain degree. It's almost like in my old age, I would start spitting off some type of like religion. I remember sometimes I see people process stuff, and I guess we're all very similar. So you're going to put that your functions. But I used to think stuff. And then when I found Buddhism, I was like, oh my God, this is just stuff that I've been thinking in my head, but it's just like fleshed out, if that makes sense.
mm.
So where am I coming from? I don't even see, I don't even have a point to what I'm saying.
Well, to
But
all the sleep lasts out there, that was your introduction to this.
okay, simple. I guess if there was ever a message to sleep last, and to be honest, universal to everyone, is make your last demon like a bodybuilding workout, and just go with the smallest bit you need to do. I don't really care what demon you have, because you have to track it in some kind. Obviously, the way a sleep last would track it is going to be different to a consume last, but you literally have to do it like you're paying the bills. And if you do that and humble yourself to humble pie to the hell, I use 0.5%, where I'm like, okay, if I increase by 0.5%, I'm happy. The next week, if I maintain it, I'm happy. But if I go by 0.5%, and that's really damn low every week, that's 2% in a month. That's 12% in 6 months. And if a business increases by 12%, you'd be laughing. So it's literally that. And I think if you found OP and you're young, in my eyes, I think, yeah, especially for the sleep loss, I think it's really good, because there is no demon that's better than another, because they all hit. You are sleep last and you're young and you found this. I know it's not everything, but try and take it seriously for the growth mindset part of things, because as much as the typing side is really cool, I think the best thing about the OP side is that you can use it to kind of see what you're doing. And the fact that I'm talking to other people and they're really resonating with what I'm saying means there's some truth to that. So for the sleep loss, play with the little people, then go spend some time and develop your own system of how to get your sleep. Because I don't think no one's going to ever really make you sleep. And that pseudo sleep that you do with people, it doesn't count.
Wow, that's a nice pep talk from a personal trainer.
Yeah.
Let's finish on that note. Thank you so much for coming, Sam. I really appreciate it, and it's so nice to get to know a different ESTP. And yeah, I'm always learning from these interviews. So thanks again for sharing your experiences.
I've enjoyed it too.
Good.